Welcome back to NFL Week 8 Bettors Edge. We've got 5 free betting picks for Sunday's slate of games. And believe it or not, we're almost halfway through the season already. Where has the season gone? But not the greatest games as far as last week. I thought we had several marquee matchups that I thought we could end up seeing in the playoffs. Not maybe this week. But, hey, it doesn't matter. When you're betting against the spread, that equals all these games out. So nice slate of games. Before I get to it, though, don't forget, like and subscribe. Of course, all these plays we like, but our best bets are always held for our subscribers and people that purchase our plays. You can get 20% off. Use that promo code EDGE. All right, guys, let's kick it off. Early game, a Lions team that, minus that game where they kind of, I don't know, maybe we're looking past Tampa Bay, or maybe Tampa Bay had their number because they just played them in the playoffs. This team's taking care of business, including a nice win at Minnesota. Big favorite here. Lions minus 11, total 45. We're at that point in the season where it's the haves and have-nots, and definitely sounds like Hopkins is getting traded to Kansas City, so you have even less for the Titans. I think one of their linebackers maybe even might be traded, it sounds like, at least on the trading block, so I don't think we're going to see him. Let's start off with you, Nick. The Lions, Detroit Lenny's Lions, they're for real. Did lose Hutchinson. Didn't hurt him last week. Is this maybe a lookover spot against a Titans team that's just, be honest, not very good?
Yeah, I am very high on this Lions team. I have them win the Super Bowl from preseason. So this was my Super Bowl pick coming into the year, was these Detroit Lions. And I know one thing for sure is I'm not laying the points with them this week. It would be dog or pass for me is the way I would look at this, with Titans getting all the points. Seeing Hopkins get traded does worry me a little bit. But this is just one of those situations where the Lions are coming in off of wins against Seattle, Dallas, and Minnesota. The last 2 big-time wins for them. And then following this game, they get Green Bay and Houston, 2 playoff teams as well. And it's just this lowly Titans team that maybe this is just one of those divisional sandwich spots. Maybe it's just one of those you exhale as the Lions this week. And maybe this game is closer than people think it might be. So if I'm betting this game, I'm only looking at the dog in this one, getting all the points.
Kind of hard to pass up the over for me, because this is a Lions team that, since that, I think it was a Monday night game when they played Seattle, they're doing anything they want. They're getting 20-yard runs. They can pass. They can screen plays good. They got great tight end play. They really do not have a whole lot of weaknesses on offense. And this is a Titans team that gave up 30-plus to Miami. Right? Wasn't that Miami, or they scored 30 against Miami? What's that?
They scored 31 against them.
It was 31. So even that game that we saw a total of 37.5, it was 31-12, went over. So 3 of the last 4 has gone over, and a push in there of 5 back. So I think this is an over spot for me. What do you think, Wes?
Well, I'll tell you what. I actually am going to lay the 11 here with the Lions. Obviously, they've won 4 straight games. They had the game-winning field goal against the Vikings. Tennessee, they're just struggling. They're 1-5. They have a lot of injuries. In fact, I think Will Levis still might be out of this game. We might be getting Mason Rudolph again. But no matter who plays quarterback, I'm still laying the 11 with the Lions. So, interesting note, the Lions are 5-1, and they're also 5-1 against the number. So they've been covering spreads. The Titans are 1-5, and they are 1-5 against the number. So they do not cover spreads. And the Titans are just in a bad way. Tennessee, they could not do anything against the Bills. I don't think they do anything here. And as Nick said in a prior video, I think they continue to bite off kneecaps.
Well, you remember, I think Tennessee was last week. They jumped out to 10-0 lead over Buffalo. All of a sudden, it was like you blinked, and they were down 10. It was boom, boom, boom. I thought this defense could be pretty good. I really thought Tennessee could keep it within teams this year by running the ball and with playing the defense. It's just not been very good for them. They've turned the ball over at times. I think the Lions do win, but I think the safer play for me is going to be on the over. Okay, let's go to the next game. We've got a Jets team that's desperate. Desperate. They go out and get Adams. Then they face, Russell Wilson's first game back, and before they just couldn't do anything. Now, there's a very good Pittsburgh defense, and they are facing a Patriots team that's, coming off the, going across and getting hammered by a bad Jags team. But 7.5 on the road in these divisional matchups sounds like a problem. What do you think, Wes?
Well, I'll tell you what, I am going to plug my nose, and I'm going to take the points here, because if you don't bet ugly in the NFL, you're not doing it right, correct? So the Jets actually won both these games last year in the head-to-head. So the Pats do have revenge. Also, if you remember, the Patriots were called soft in the media by Bill Belichick himself, kind of calling out Mayo there. But I think they respond here. Ton of motivation. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers and company, they kind of been asleep at the wheel. He has Devontae Adams back. But I think this is actually going to be a really nice public fade because, all the public's going to be on the Jets, so they're going to kill the Patriots. But I don't think so. I'm going to take the points here and put them in my back pocket. I think this is the week where Drake may actually has a good week, too.
I mean, I thought this Jets defense was going to be better, to be very honest. I mean, that Pittsburgh offense has not had really good year, and they pretty much did whatever they wanted in that second half. Really, the last three quarters. Once Russell Wilson settled in, I think it spells trouble if you lay these kind of numbers on the road in the NFL. Now, we know the road favorites did really well the last 2 weeks. I think Nick mentioned it either earlier in this video or when we did the Thursday night game. But that is not the way you make money betting against, road favorites in the NFL. That's usually where the public is, and it's usually where you get waxed. So I would be leaning. I'm not big on this game. I would lean towards the Jets as well. Nick, what do you think? I'm sorry, the Patriots as well. So.
Yeah. For me, I'm only looking really at the total in this game. It'd be a play on the under if I'm betting this one. This is I think a poor spot for the Patriots. Coming back from London without a bye week. I'm always wary about teams when they do that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I'm not taking the points with the Patriots, but good luck laying a touchdown with the Jets. I've been on the Jets way too many times this year, and they've continued to let me down. I'm just this is probably one of the easiest sides to pass on this year, personally, on this slate. And I would only look towards an under. If you want to get involved in something, maybe it's a Patriots team total under. It's a bounce back performance for the Jets defense, but even then, that's probably a really low number. It's probably just under for me.
Yeah, I think unders are probably a good play. I always think Patriots Jets games as unders. These teams seem to know it. These division rivals, they know each other so well. I think it's much tougher that you play it close to the vest kind of thing. So I do like the under as well as the Patriots. So next game we move to the afternoon slate. And you get a Saints team that maybe one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time on Thursday Night Football. So it's kind of like, check your manhood kind of game. You see the Chargers, they were not a whole lot better last week. I mean, they did not play great. So Chargers favored by, I see a 7 in some spots. I put it at 7.5 here because I see most of the spots still 7.5 and a total of 39.5. Obviously, a completely banged up Saints roster. But Nick, if there ever was a spot to call out your manhood, this has got to be it, right, for the Saints?
I'm not coming anywhere near the Saints. Now, that being said, I don't want to lay the number with the Chargers, though, either in this game. So I think the better way to approach this spot here is the Chargers team total over is the way I have it written down, which that number you can get, I believe it's probably going to be in the mid-20s somewhere. When we look at what's gone wrong with the Saints team as of late, they've forgotten how to play defense. They gave up 26 to the Falcons, 26 to the Chiefs, and then 51 to the Bucs and 33 to a Bo Nix-led Broncos team.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers get theirs in this game. I'm very wary on trusting the Chargers to win by margin, though. That's not a team where I'm looking to lay big numbers on them. But with that being said, I think they can put up their points because the Saints defense has proven to me the last few weeks they've not been able to stop anyone. I think this total is a little bit too low as well. So I would look towards maybe the team total over here for the Chargers in this game.
Well, the Chargers just kicked field goals last week. I mean, all they needed was one of those many opportunities they had to cash in. They do not have a whole lot of talent at the receiving spot. And I've heard that they're out there, the Cooper Kupp, which would kind of make sense. Obviously, he doesn't even have to leave town. They could use him. They could use somebody that can get open on the outside. I mean, you have Justin Herbert. He's a gunslinger. He's a very good quarterback. And then you take all of his weapons away. I think this is a team that is setting on a big game. I do like the Chargers in this spot. I don't know what's wrong with the Saints. Something's wrong, though, that you can't stop anybody anymore. And they don't help them on offense as they turn the ball over a lot. Wes, what do you think in this one?
So I do think the Chargers bounce back here. I'm going to lay the points with the Chargers. So Obviously, the Saints are very banged up. We've already referenced that. But, the Chargers, they're 3-3 now. That loss to the Cardinals is just terrible because if they miss the playoffs, they're going to look back to this game, the Cardinal game, and they're going to say, man, we let that one get away. That's the one we needed, right? But I'm going to roll with the Chargers here. I think they're going to bounce back. Spencer Rattler has been pretty inconsistent. He's had a few good moments, but all in all, I like the Chargers. They're the better team. I think they're going to win this actually by double digits. And I am going to roll with Jim Harbaugh's Chargers.
I always say, if you draw a line through a game, I always do this when I'm handicapping horse racing. If they win that game, say they score one of those many times that they, third and short and they couldn't, and they win the game, this line's probably, what would it be? 9? Maybe 9.5.
10.
So it's like, because they didn't play great and they, they had a chance to win the game and just didn't. Like, now you get this, what I think is you're getting 2.5 to 2 points less. So let's take the Chargers. I would buy that half a point, though, if I'm going to play the Chargers, just so you guys know. This is not a team that's going to win by big margins the way they like to run the ball and play to their defense. All right, now maybe the best game of the week, and hopefully we see the battle of the rookies here. But Jalen Daniels, at the time of this, he's questionable still, so we don't know if it's going to be him or Mariota. Either way, they do have very similar skill set, and Washington looked great last week, although it was against Carolina. But, I mean, they absolutely dismantled them. Bears favored by 1.5 on the road here, total 43.5. Wes, what do you think in this one?
Well, I am actually going to roll with the Bears. I do hope we see Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. It's actually kind of funny because if Jaden Daniels is out for, an extended period of time, that's going to affect the rookie of the year odds too, right? But, Caleb, he got off to a slow start, but he's, last 2 games, 530 yards, 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception. So he's starting to play a lot better. And the Bears are coming off a bye, so that bodes well for them. And I like the Bears here. They're going to play through that defense. Their defense is top 5 in the NFL as it relates to yards per game. And Mariota, he did look okay last week, but I just think the Bears are going to come in here, and I think they're going to win this by at least a field goal.
Well, remember early in the year when Kellen Williams just did not look good the first few weeks. He just looked indecisive. He wasn't making like a quick read and then just trusting it. And thus he was turning the ball over and leaving him in bad spots. Since then, he's really kind of turned this season around, and people were saying like the bus talk that we hear after the first few weeks, every time you get a number 1 pick that doesn't come out and just have amazing years. Now we see them kind of rolling, and people are like, oh, he's the next, Patrick Mahomes. That's always the where you get compared to. Nick, what do you think in this matchup? I mean, let's just assume that we do see Jalen Daniels. Is like Commanders at home as an underdog?
Yeah, on my notes here, because I didn't know if Daniels is playing. I said if Daniels is playing, the wrong team is favored. And the way I kind of want to play this is I need to know the status first. Because I think if Daniels is in, this line moves to Commanders -1.5, Commanders -2. I think if this line, if Mariota plays and Daniels is out, I think we're looking at a field goal here for the Commanders, maybe a field goal and a hook. And if that's the case, if I'm getting over a field goal with Mariota, that's the way I'm going to play in this game. I need to see the status first. I don't want to gamble on this game. I know we're gamblers, but this feels like an ultimate gamble trying to pick a side right now, not knowing whether or not Daniels is playing. And I think the way you bet this game is the way you anticipate if he's playing or not. If you think he's playing, grab the Commanders now. If you don't, grab them later.
I'm playing the Commanders either way. I just think they're Dan Quinn, he has instant success wherever he goes. I mean, remember we went to Dallas, the defense wasn't any good. All of a sudden he goes there and that defense is amazing. Look what happened. Now he's gone. I mean, he's a guy that kind of players like to play for. And that defense isn't great. Like you look up and down, they don't have they don't have Micah Parsons over there, but they're getting it done, at least keeping them in games. And this offense, Cliff Kingsbury has figured out his system, I think, in the NFL. And he's got 2 quarterbacks that really kind of fit his system here. And I don't really care who starts. I'm taking the Commanders on the money line. I think they win outright. And I'm not waiting to bet this game because I do think Jalen Daniels will play. And I think you're right. I think this will be -115, -120 if he does play once it comes game time. So that's what we like in this game. We go to Sunday Night Football. So we finish it up here. Dallas, maybe it's great they're on the road because Dallas at home has been, wow, as good as they were the last few seasons at home, terrible. In a 49ers team that now without Brandon Ayuk and, it's a little bit of Super Bowl hangover, a little bit of just banged up injuries on a veteran team that you would expect more from. 49ers -4.5, total 46.5. Nick, I mean, this is as low as you can buy, right, for Dallas?
Yeah, give me the Cowboys in this game for sure. I'm going to take the points in this one here. And you also have the Cowboys coming off of a bye after they got destroyed against the Detroit Lions, 47-9, and then they hit a bye week, which I think will be beneficial for them because we've seen what teams do the week after playing the Lions, and maybe having that extra week is helpful. And when we look at this 49ers team, something just doesn't look right with them this year. They're 3-4 to start the year. This was the team that was obviously in the Super Bowl last year and very well should have won the Super Bowl last year. And we're looking at them under 500 during week 8. And you mentioned the Cowboys on the road. This has been a home road split here for the Dallas Cowboys. 0-3 at home. Perfect 3-0 on the road, though. So I think this is a nice spot for them here. The line is starting to trickle down as well. I'm starting to see 4s out there for the Cowboys, so I'd bet them now rather than later. But yeah, I'm going to be on Dallas here in the points with this game.
A little bit of a revenge spot. If I remember right, last year Dallas went to San Francisco, and San Francisco handed it to them pretty good.
42-10.
Yeah, so this is also a little revenge spot. This is pretty much a lot of the same team, especially all the star players for Dallas returning. And in San Francisco, like injury bug has just, ever since it's the whole season. And now with Brandon Ayuk on, a guy that, of course, missed most of training camp. So people are saying maybe, I don't know if that has an effect or not. But he's out either way. I'm with you. You can't buy any lower. And I'm always a buy low guy. Like once you think like a team's played their worst in the NFL, that's when you want to play them the next week, because usually these guys are pros. I mean, they don't want to be called out on all these shows that they've been doing, not just for, like you said, 1 week. Now we had the bye in between. Give me the Cowboys as well. I'm going to play them on the money line here because I don't think they just cover. I actually think either the Cowboys win outright or they get smashed again. So I'm going to take a real swing here. Cowboys money line. Wes, what do you think?
Yeah, we'll make it a clean sweep here because I like Dallas too. I had that in my notes too, that Dallas is 3-0 on the road. And also too, not only the 42-10 game last year, but I think, and I haven't looked at the head-to-heads, but I think the Niners have won like the last 5 head-to-head, something like that. So they've kind of dominated the Cowboys. So the Cowboys have revenge here. And I went and counted the injury reports. So San Francisco has 15 starters. That's starters listed as questionable for this game. So not all those guys are going to play. So yeah, I agree. I think the Cowboys are going to hang tough, and they're going to want to bounce back after that terrible Lions loss at home.
So it is 3-0. The last 3 times they played once in 22, twice last year. So I do think this is this is just a sneaky spot. And San Francisco, unless they address the receiver spot, which I do see their name in the Cooper Kupp trades as well. But, there's definitely a lot of issues because they're close on the cap. So they'd have to have the Rams or any team that they trade with would have to eat some of that, cap, big salary if they get a big name receiver. So interesting to see what some of these teams that had high expectations that have banged up and lost players, what they do in the trade deadline. All right, so that's week 8 of Sunday's action. Don't forget, make sure you stay tuned. We'll have Monday Night Football as well. So make sure you like and subscribe our channel and use that promo code EDGE to save 20% off on any of our picks or any of the picks over at the website. Good luck, guys.